Hey there, I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
And we have now completed week 1 of the 2020 college football season.
Yeah, we're underway.
It's
now officially
underway, yes. And so there were some really, it was a fun weekend.
It was just a good weekend of college football from start to finish. A couple late night games that were interesting, and then just especially afternoon games.
Yeah.
They were kind of really
There were just so many games, and there were just some wild ones too. Some crazy stuff that went on. So we're gonna talk first about basically the ones that we had brought up to begin with. And so one of those was the Notre Dame Ohio State game, and we expected this to be a big one. It was really more of a defensive battle than anything else. Matter of fact, through the third quarter, Notre Dame was leading 10-7 through the third quarter.
Yeah, it was pretty much
until the end of the third quarter.
Surprising game, I think, because people expected to see C.J. Stroud, one of the top Heisman potentials at the beginning of the season here, to kind of go off against Notre Dame. But per usual, Notre Dame competed. They did well.
They did.
Still lost, which is also fairly usual for them in big games. Ohio State, I don't think this necessarily means anything much. It was two really good teams playing each other. It's kind of like what I said last week. Just keep it close, and either of these teams can still make it to the playoffs by the end of the season. Yeah,
so 21-10, Ohio State pulled that one off. I think that was to be expected. The next one was Utah State was at Alabama. Not a lot to mention here. Alabama, really, they just did their
solid
job.
Game, 55-0. The only critique I can give is I did see Bryce Young get hit a couple times by Utah State, which I think is concerning considering Utah State shouldn't ever be getting through the Alabama offensive line.
Yeah, so
that's it.
55-0 on that one. Number 23 Cincinnati was at number 19 Arkansas. This was a really good game.
Yeah,
really was.
So if you think about it, so low scoring in the first half, and then all of a sudden, second half they just started driving down the field. Defenses probably got a little tired. 31-24. What a
Arkansas
fun game.
Pulled that one off. Did a good job doing it.
They really did.
Yeah. The next one was Utah at Florida. Number 7 Utah going in there at Florida. But when you saw the talking heads, they were all picking Florida for this. Everybody was thinking Florida is going to pull the upset.
This was arguably, throughout the week, there actually were almost no upsets.
Yeah.
There were maybe 2 or 3 actual upsets as far as ranked teams go.
Yeah.
And this was one of them.
Yep.
A.J. Richardson for Florida looked absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's good enough that, you kind of have to be scared of Florida if you play them right now, solely because of him. He had some Johnny Manziel-type plays. He just looks poised.
Now, you take him out of the game, I think Florida has problems.
For sure, yeah. He is their offense in terms of explosiveness. But all in all, I was fairly impressed with Florida. Not so much impressed with Utah. I actually thought Utah was going to win this game. Clearly, I didn't.
Yeah, Florida had to score 15 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And a last-second interception in the end zone.
Right.
To keep
Utah
from
almost
taking
won
the
the game with
15
seconds left. But good for Florida.
That's right.
Go SEC. I think SEC ended 11-1, by the way. We'll talk about that one here in a second.
West Virginia was at number 17 Pitt, and this was a surprisingly, I was actually surprised that West Virginia did as well as they did.
Yeah, so this is apparently a rivalry game. I forgot the name of the rivalry between the two teams, but supposedly it used to be extremely competitive back in the day. And
that's right.
I know at least old fans were super excited that they were coming back and playing against each other again.
I can't remember the name of it either.
But Pittsburgh, I think all in all, both teams actually just look fairly even. I don't know if that means Pittsburgh isn't as good as we thought or if West Virginia is better than we thought. But either way, Pittsburgh did barely scrape by 38-31, a fairly high-scoring game. So fun.
Yeah.
For a Thursday night game, that pretty much one of the first big games of the season, just so fun to watch.
Well, Pittsburgh they'll get tested this coming week, so we'll find out about them. Next one. Really fascinating game on Sunday
night football,
You had Florida State at LSU. Neither one of them coming in ranked at all.
Remember, we talked about these teams, not great seasons last year.
Yeah, and honestly, neither one played great in this game.
No. As a matter of fact, it's actually stunning that LSU did not win this game. If you look at stats, if you look at just everything throughout the game, it's just, you would never be able to figure out that LSU didn't win.
Yeah.
And it came down to Florida State blocking an LSU field goal and then blocking
And a
an
PAT.
LSU extra point.
I know.
I mean, LSU drives the first really pretty drive of the entire game, 90-plus
90
yards down the
99
field.
yards. They were on
in
the
a
1 yard
minute
line.
and like 20 seconds. They drive all the way down the field, and this is after Florida State gets the ball on like the 5-yard line, fumbles it before they get into the end zone.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just watching this and your jaw's just open. You're like, what is happening right now? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Fun. It was fun to watch, but boy, sloppy stuff.
Chip Kelly, welcome to the SEC.
Yeah, I think Chip Kelly said something along the lines that, he was disappointed with this loss, but hey, he's still there and worse could happen or something along those lines. I was like,
I guess it could have been a bigger blowout. I don't know.
That was not encouraging to your fan base, Chip. Yeah. So, the week 1 upsets.
We don't have to talk about these.
We could just skip it completely. Boise State, I tell you, what happened with one, they collapsed in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was over. It was over at the end of the first quarter. 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
The defense tried their absolute best to keep him in the first quarter.
Hank looked the worst I've seen Hank in a long time.
Starting quarterback, senior, got benched at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. All I know is if these coaches didn't think they were on the hot seat, they better turn things around by the end of the season, or I know for a fact that the Boise State fan base is not going to be thrilled.
Yeah.
I think they're going to turn it around. I think Hank is going to start doing better throughout the rest of the season. But you know what? It's okay. Bad first game, 34-17. Congrats, Oregon State. I hope you win the national championship.
Okay, wow. The next one. Whew.
Now we really don't have to talk about this one.
Wow. But except the whole country's talking about it. I mean, number 11 Oregon was at number 3 was at the Mercedes Dome,
and they were at the number 3 Georgia Bulldog Stadium.
And my goodness, Georgia absolutely just put a stomping on Oregon. Like Oregon, 49-3.
Nix went out there and did what he does best. Yeah. That is absolutely nothing.
He did exactly what you would expect him to do.
Auburn fans, I know you threw fits at first when Brian Harsin benched Bo Nix, but let's be honest. He's not good.
Yeah, it's horrible.
He's just not good.
Yeah.
It's stunning that he actually even made it to a team like Oregon. Like, it was just... First off, kind of tough in his position to play a team like Georgia as your first game on Oregon. But 49-3. Yeah. I mean,
and honestly, Oregon. I mean, you made the Pac-12 look just so disappointing. I mean, you're sort of supposed to be the star.
Yeah, you talk about arguably the best looking team in the country right now.
Yeah, they really could be.
Yeah, it's Georgia.
You're right.
The mailman, Stetson Bennett, played absolutely out of his mind. The fact that he wasn't in any Heisman conversations before the season starts is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Considering
we'll
did
see
win
what
the
he does
title
after
last year.
this. So he's
got
to be consistent.
He had a great season last year. Why wouldn't he have a great season this year?
He
won the national championship.
He was okay last year.
No.
It's the team, and he's still got a tremendous team around him.
He does.
That's what makes him shine.
Yeah.
I could shine. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, wait a second.
Okay, here's a few games that we're going to mention that shouldn't have to be mentioned because we didn't mention them at first because they should be non-games. But they were actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
The Central Michigan Chippewas were at number 12 Oklahoma State. Should have been a blowout.
By the way, I watched like the first quarter of this game, turned it off because I think Oklahoma State was already up by like 28 points or something ridiculous.
And maybe they went up and just sort of sat on their lead and just thought, hey, we got this game. And man, Central Michigan just started coming back, putting points on the board, 58-44.
And that's with Oklahoma State scoring at the end too.
Yeah.
So that's such a close score if you think about it. 14 points. Just that defense non-existent. 44 points given up to Central Michigan. What, Chippewas? Is that what we say?
Yeah, the Chippewas. Oklahoma State, you need to be concerned about your defense.
Yeah, fix something.
Yeah.
All right.
Then you had number 13, North Carolina State was facing East Carolina. Number 13, North Carolina State, 21-20. They won it, but just barely pulled this thing out.
By the way, this is another scenario. Similar to LSU, East Carolina missed
a field goal, missed an extra point. Yeah, they literally could have won this game.
So NC State. People's predictions for you are probably in the drain now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Then you had number 24 Houston.
One of the best games
against the Roadrunners of UTSA. Yeah. Went into quadruple overtime.
Yeah,
I can't
it was
remember
like
how
3
many,
or 4. It was definitely at least 3 overtimes. Such
a
good game.
One Houston should not have struggled with, and it was 37-35 at the end. They did win it, but again,
I think the fact that Houston won is all that they care about. Let's be honest. They don't care how close it was. They're just happy they won.
They need that win. All right, the next one is a pretty funny one. UNC, North Carolina, was at App State. And so App State crowd, man.
By the
App
way,
State crowd's
what
pretty
is
awesome.
with ACC going to these small schools?
That is
East
interesting.
Carolina, App State. The next game I'm about to mention was Virginia Tech going to Old Dominion.
Yeah.
I mean, what is with them going to these small schools?
Yes.
Do y'all not have money to pay these schools to come to you? What's happening in ACC? Anyways.
Okay, but the whole point of this one is, final score, UNC 63, App State 61.
Small fun fact for you, UNC App State played in basketball last year, and App State scored more points in this game than they did against UNC basketball.
Okay, isn't that sad? Well, App State scored 40 points in the fourth quarter.
61 total points between the two of them in the fourth quarter. One more point would have been, I think, an NCAA record.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy game. All right, you said one more game?
Yeah, one more worth mentioning. Virginia Tech at Old Dominion.
Hokie fans don't want you to mention this one.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know what to say about it. Watched the game. Offensively, watching that game was painful. I mean, you're talking about just mistake after mistake, and it didn't seem like they even knew what they were doing. You had to question what they were doing all season going into that game. Old Dominion, good for you guys.
Yeah.
Congrats getting a pretty big win for their program.
That's right.
They've done this to Virginia Tech before.
They have.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And I think they're going to start thinking they can do it every time.
Yeah, I know.
Like, Virginia Tech's going into that game as the underdog, which is not good. Yeah.
Fine.
All right. That was week 1 fun. Join us when we give a preview of week 2.